Okay, and to kind of wrap things up, because there've been a lot of looters, there've been a lot of people, there's been a lot of protesters, pretty much hemming up and checking people who are destroying the community. So, what do you have to say to that narrative, at least about looters or people who may be agent provocateurs who we keep repeatedly see destroying property, even though black folks and other people are screaming for them to stop, but they keep doing it? What would be your solution to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I really have an issue with it, and I just got to be real. I don't need a system where people feel that during a pandemic where, we have how many tens of millions of people unemployed, and those are the only people that we know about because they qualify for unemployment, right? So we don't even really know the real statistic. I don't need people calling out those things, right? Like, until you're ready to address the fact that we feed the homeless, but we don't house the homeless, then I have no questions about looting, right? I have no answers for you. Until you want to address the fact that, we have corporations that siphon off money and leave our cities, right? I have no answers for you. Like, you have to do research, and I feel like that's the piece that's being left out. Like, you cannot start the conversation at looting, right? Why do people steal in general, right? Like, there's a difference between stealing for fun because your friend dared you versus stealing your prescription for your mom because she can't afford healthcare, so if you want to start at looting and you think that that's bad, sure, okay, technically, yes, I guess, but, rules only apply to poor people, right? They only apply to poor people because somebody who has the money would never even be in that position, right? And so, again, like, starting the conversation, I constantly find myself saying this, but if your research started a week ago, I can't break down all of what goes into that. And so I don't think there's one solution for it. I think people, if you feel that that's your place to call out a looter, sure, I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong place to place your energy. But I also think that we are in the midst of a pandemic. And I think that, honestly, some of that probably would have happened anyway. I mean, people got $1,200. Some people got $1,200 like 2 months ago. Like, so what are we supposed to do now, right? So, yeah, again, like, I just think it's just so easy to pinpoint what people think is bad and good from a place of privilege, right? And black people still have privilege in the fact that if you have more money than this white person looting this place, not saying that they should be doing it, right? Because a lot of them are doing it just for the fun of it, just to gain, whatever they want off of the movement. But, if you can pay your car note and your rent and cell phone and everything else that you do every month because you live like that and you have the privilege to do that, pull up or shut up kind of thing. Like, are you going to be there for them when they don't have money to put, food on the table? You know what I mean? And so it's like starting the conversation at looting is bad. Well, is that it? Like, do you just don't want people to loot? That's it? Like, that's all you're getting out of this? It goes so much farther than that.
Thank you, Ryan. As always, appreciate your candid realness.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I think, these are the type of platforms, these are the times that, people think that it's just right now, but these are just the times we have to take advantage of to show people, like, wait. Before you even, begin to call out one thing, look at it, get the macro level, and then, kind of work your way from there.
Fantastic. Go ahead, rest up, rest your voice, drink a bunch of tea.
Well, do.
shade. Go ahead and shade people in your comments that you out here reading on Facebook and IG. Go ahead.
I don't know any other way.
Appreciate you. Have a good night.
You as well.
That round of applause wasn't just because we went to college together and saw a protest go down and saw a bunch of heavy shit happen. Honestly, it was for everyone who's called tonight, because you can hear when someone is living their truth, and I appreciate that. And everyone has different perspectives that they bring to the table. So again, anyone who wants to call in, the number is 1-310-693-4300. I'm trying to limit it to like 10 to 15 minutes per call. So if you get a little bit of extra time, because I don't want to stand in the way of your voice or you feeling like you need the mic. Okay, there we go. Hello, caller. What is your name and where are you calling from?
What's up, guys? What's going on? My name is Christian Wu, and I am calling from Eastville, California.
Another one from Eastville, brother of Wu?
Yes, sir.
All right.
A little Wu.
Go ahead, and you have the floor. Speak your piece.
Alrighty. So I've attended 2 protests. I've attended one at the Orange Circle, which is predominantly a lot of Caucasian residents, and I attended the protest in Eastvale. Speaking on my experience, I'd say that they were both pretty peaceful, and it was kind of surprising to see the turnout in Eastvale. I was not going to lie, I was kind of expecting more, considering how diverse the city is, but, it's definitely a step in the right direction. One thing that kind of bugged me was, there's a city by the name of Norco where they kind of, like to harass those people of color. And we had 2 incidents where a gentleman pulled up to the light where we were protesting and blatantly, he blatantly called a group of African Americans the N-word with a hard R. And regardless of how he said it, it's still just inappropriate. He was greeted by a couple of kicks to the door, and the guy's door was dented in. But, the cops there were pretty peaceful. I actually saw a cop laughing at the incident, so it was kind of nice to see the police officers of Eastville, gathering around us and being out there for us and, actually protecting us rather than using their power and, just kind of shutting it down like I've seen around the whole country.
And what inspired you to get into the protests and activism?
What inspired me? I'm Hispanic and I'm Chinese, so that alone makes me a minority. A lot of my friends are African American. I went to a private school in Orange County where a lot of the student body was white, and I'd probably say it was 92% of the student body, so I kind of gravitated towards, the Hispanics, the blacks, the Chinese people that were attending there, and, I still am in contact with a lot of my friends from that school, and, I'm going to be kind of honest, I'm not friends with a lot of the white people I went to school with, because they are those Trump supporters, those Bible thumpers that, try to just justify people's actions because, whatever goes on in the Bible, and it's not right. Like, I've seen signs that say, how can you love Christ and say that, not all lives matter? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, we're all created in God's image. We're all children of God. How can you hate somebody that is a different color of you? In the Bible, I'm not trying to get biblical, but in the Bible it says that Jesus had skin that was copper. He was brown skin. And, people misinterpret that and they say that, oh, he's white because, these people just believe in white privilege and they believe that, that Caucasians are the superior race when we're all created equal. And so, I've been on Twitter actively and I've seen police brutality firsthand. It's not fun. It's kind of scary. It's actually very intimidating, and it makes me think like, well, if these figures are placed in front of us to protect and serve, but they are the ones that are causing all this anguish and hurt and, murders them, who are we to look for? Like, who are we to look towards for protection? And, you know, I have a platform. Everybody has a platform. And I see it as a way to, you know, put an end to all of this. It's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. I mean, you can go back to ancient times where people were enslaved and beat for no reason. And, like, what's the reason? What's the motive behind that? There is no motive. It's just pure hatred in the heart.
Powerful, very powerful. And being that you said, you know, Latino and Chinese, how has that been a struggle for you? Or how has it not been a struggle for you as far as growing up and trying to figure out where you fit necessarily in between two cultures?
So, going back to high school, like I said, majority of the student body was, you know, they were Caucasian. I remember my first day in school, freshman year, I walked into that campus and, you know, fortunately I played sports, so I was already kind of accepted in by the football team. And it was more of the students that I had in class that were just you ever get that feeling where you feel like somebody's just looking at you, and they're just like kind of judging you, and you're just like, this feels off. Like, what is going on? And it sucks. It's sad because I had to prove myself through sports to gain people's trust and respect, just because of the color of my skin. And literally the second that I lost those medals per se, where I gained people's trust, when I, you know, unfortunately I had an injury where I couldn't play my senior year, and I lost so much connections with the people that I thought were my friends. And predominantly a lot of them were white, and they didn't care. Whereas, you know, my best friend, he's Persian. My other best friend, he's from Argentina. My other best friend, he's Latino as well. And they kind of, you know, they got around me and picked me up, and it was the majority of the people that were, you know, different color skin than those other students that were at that school. And I mean, there's other incidents. I saw a guy, I'm not going to say any names, but for Halloween, he literally came to school in a KKK mask. And I just looked at him, I'm like, are you serious right now? What is your motive in this? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? And so I reported it to the dean of students, expecting him to get kicked out of the school because, you know, you'd expect a Lutheran school to say there's no room for hatred of any kind. And he got a slap on the wrist. He got suspended from school for 3 days. And I look at that, I look at the body of Christ, and say, well, how can you do that? Like, how can you just allow somebody to step foot on a campus, and it's very clear that he has a KKK mask on, a white hat on with a cross on it, a red circle with a white cross. Like, that's a problem. And the fact that they allowed it to happen says everything. That there is still racism to this day, and, you know, we're facing it. We're facing the evil still to this day.
True. As well as just from what you've seen just around the world, where do you feel like this protesting against racism, white supremacy, police brutality, you pick it, where do you feel like it's leading?
Well, there's a sad saying that, you know, history always repeats itself, and unfortunately we're living that right now. I've seen several videos of, you know, African Americans that are older. I've seen a video of a 74-year-old woman, and the comments were, this woman lived this civil rights, you know, the civil rights movement, and she's living through it again. Like, who wants to live a life like that? I know I don't. I mean, I know Pete doesn't, I know you don't, I know my brother doesn't, I know nobody wants to live that. But the fact of the matter is that people are allowing it, and, you know, I feel like this movement is bigger than just, you know, the Black Lives Matter.